Welcome back, and here is part 2 of our Q&A. All right. More in the depth of your journey to becoming friends / sister wives, and how you handle jealousy.
I mean, it was a pretty slow go, really. When we first got married, I was really a very quiet person, and I was not really sure what this was going to look like. At that point, I just decided I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work, even if she's like this really crazy person and not nice, and I'm just going to make it work. And so I just was like sitting and watching, and I remember thinking, like, what's her angle? Like, why is she here? Why is she still here? And I remember going on a date. It would have been maybe 5-6 months into our marriage. And I was on a date with Colton, and I said that, and he was like, there is no angle. She's here because she wants to be here. And it was just like, oh, I think you're right. She really does. Okay, I'm good with this. Okay, we can make this work.
Is that the same time that you came and talked to me?
And yeah, and then it was like we were able to actually have, and Sophie noticed, like, we were actually able to have a really good conversation, and I was able to open up at that point because to that point, I just felt like she was just gonna, like, decide that it wasn't for her, she's gonna leave, and she just, changed her mind. And so then to be like, okay, she's here to stay, she wants to work on this, she wants to work through all of the hard parts, okay. And so then I was able to open up, and we were able to actually have good conversations and talk about things, and it's been a struggle, really, being able to talk, because we're both of us are pretty diplomatic. We like to make sure that we don't just say whatever's on our mind and maybe hurt each other. And that has happened occasionally, but it was never intentional. And being able to bring that up and say, like, when you said this, like, what did you mean by that? Because this is what I heard, and I didn't feel good. Mm-hmm. And being able to grow in those conversations and get to the point where now, if there is something like that, like, we're able to bring it up, same day or the next day, and resolve it really quickly. Or on the flip side, like, going on trips, like I had to go to up north for a couple weeks ago, and Sophie went with me, and it was really great. We didn't even hardly listen to music or anything. We just talked, and it was great.
Okay, yep.
And so I think from where we began, where we couldn't even talk to each other about anything, without having Colton there to, like, be our moderator.
Colton, sadly, in the very beginning of our relationship, because I think it was hard because we didn't trust each other. We were in a relationship and a marriage, and we had the principle and the what's the word? The belief system. We believed in what we were doing, but we hadn't been around each other enough to trust each other with, one, our emotions, and two, talking about things candidly. So I think it was getting to the point in our relationship where we trusted each other. We knew that each other was not trying to hurt each other in what we were saying. And so if our feelings got hurt, we were able to talk about those things and say, hey, when you said this, just like what she was explaining. And we've really gotten to the point where we have been able to be there for each other. And thankfully, we've cut Colton out of the middle.
Yeah.
And we've been able to just talk to each other. And I feel like Tami knows me probably better than Colton because she's probably a woman, and she understands me. And while we're very different, we're able to talk more, and we do have a lot more time with each other during the day, so that probably helps.
Yeah.
But I truly feel like I can trust Tami with anything, and there are some times that I'm talking to Colton and I have just something that I'm trying to say, and he's just not understanding me, and I know that I can talk to Tami about it, and then she'll kind of help mediate and say, okay, this is what Sophie's trying to say, and she'll kind of go in between and back and forth, and I really feel like I can lean on her for that. And, you know, in the beginning, we couldn't do that. We weren't there, and we didn't even know what our relationship was going to look like. But I'm really proud of what we have, you know, gone through and experienced, and what we've grown to, because we truly can lean on each other. And I do feel like Tami is my best friend, and I want to do everything with her, and we talk about different things and different lifestyle routines that we want to go through, and we've very much come together in this sisterhood in the unison of the life that we're trying to create.
Yeah.
So, how you handle jealousy?
Well, jealousy is a hard one because it is something that is prevalent in most relationships, honestly, not just plural ones. And I think for me, I like to look at it from a logical perspective and going like, why am I having this feeling? Why is spurring this feeling of jealousy? And most of the time, you know, it's a problem with feeling, you know, honestly, some kind of inequality, like Sophie and Colton have been able to spend more time together than I have, or I'm just feeling really disjointed from all of them, or like, you know, things like that, and going, okay, like, we just need to talk about it. And then we're able to bring it up, and you know, for us, a lot of the petty jealousies are just not important, you know. It's just not a big deal to me.
Right. A lot of the stereotypes about jealousy is that you're going to see your husband kissing his other wife and you're going to be jealous about that, or, you know, things like that. And for us, that's never been a thing. Like, I've never had a jealousy of seeing Colton kiss Tami.
Yeah.
You know, I've come into this marriage, and even though a wife is a wife, Tami has always been a wife, and I've respected that union, and I knew what I was coming into. And looking at that, it's also the reason why this lifestyle helps you be more like understanding of the other woman, because you realize, like, you look at, like, if Tami's going out on a date with Colton, like, I want that for her just like I want that for me. And so I'm able to look at that and say, you know, like, I'm happy that they're going out because I want them to spend quality time together as well. I want Tami to have as good a relationship with Colton as I do, and vice versa, as well as our relationship together. And so when you're looking at the whole picture, it's really easy to not have those problems. However, you do have the small things that are so silly. So the jealousies, like, that I've experienced, that I've shared in the past, are when we first got married. Colton had all of his work shirts at Tami's house. And so when he would come over to my house, he would just wear whatever clothes, and then he would go back to Tami's house every single morning, no matter whose night it was, to change his clothes at Tami's house and then go to work. For me, it felt like I wasn't a wife. And I know that's so interesting, but, like, for me, it was like I didn't get the ability to, like, wash his work shirts and provide that benefit of a wife in taking care of something that he needs. And so I think that was, paired with the feeling of, like, what I talked to Colton when we first got married. I'm like, what are your expectations of me as a wife? Because I am not like Tami. Like, she's amazing. She has dinner ready by the time he gets home from work, and is just like this wonderful housemaker, and I just work 10 hours a day, and then I don't even want to do anything. And so I just remember thinking, you know, and I don't know if you would call that a jealousy.
I would say more of an insecurity.
Right. So maybe a lot of the jealousies that we have stem from insecurities.
I think most jealousy does stem from insecurity. When you think about, you know, like, why do you feel that way? It's usually because you feel like you are not getting a need met, or you feel like there's an expectation that you are not meeting, I think are the main ones for jealousy. And then, I know that there's more petty feelings too with jealousy, but for us, that's really mainly where it's at. And we're able to put aside those things, like, I don't care what Sophie's hair looks like. I don't care, like, as long as my hair is whatever. Like, if we're wearing the same outfit, I have no cares. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, like, there's those little things like that, like, that bother some people, but for us, it's never been a problem.
Right. And I think probably the biggest thing in our everyday life, and it's not as much nowadays because we've just kind of gotten used to what our life is like together all in one home and our everyday life. But I think we struggled with time. There's only so many hours in the day, and it really is just feeling like when that need isn't getting met, where you feel like, well, Tami's getting to spend time with Colton, and I haven't been able to spend time with Colton. But that's not because it's a jealousy thing. It's not because I don't want her to spend time. Just like what Tami was saying, it's usually when you have a need or something that struggle becomes, comes to the surface. And so we like to talk about we explain it as a pendulum, a pendulum theory. Like, when it's going over here, Tami's getting her needs met, and then it's going to come back to me at some point. And I just need to communicate that, and at some point it's going to happen for me too. And we've just kind of adapted to that, and realizing that everybody's needs can't all get met right at the same time, but they all will get met because we all talk to each other, and we make sure that all of us are feeling good about things. And if Tami needs to go on a date, or if I need to go on a date, we make that happen.
I think it's important too to mention that Colton is very conscientious about making sure that he treats us fairly and equally. Because I know it would be a problem if, Sophie is the new wife, is the only one that he wants to spend time with. But he's always been very careful to make sure that doesn't happen, that, if there is a problem with, he's spending more time with Sophie than me, it's not because he's doing that on purpose. It's just because, there's just the way the timing is working out, and he works really hard to make sure that pendulum swings the other way so that we're both equally cared for.
Yep. He's very, very good at that. Shopping tips. You both always have the best outfits.
Amazon.
Tami's closet. I don't like shopping very much, and so, actually this is Tami's shirt. But
we have started going shopping together, though. Actually, we've only done it once, but we decided it was fun and we wanted to do it more.
We're gonna start budgeting for it.
And it was fun, and we went and bought some dresses and shirts, and it was really fun. So
it was really nice.
But we don't do it very often.
No, we don't. But we surprisingly are the same size. Well, except for that I'm pregnant now and feel fat. But Tami's a medium and I'm a medium, and it's so funny, and we can wear the same dresses and stuff. It just ends up looking a little bit different because of the shapes of our bodies and everything.
Good example, when we went shopping, I found this dress and I was like, this is a really cute dress. I think it would look really cute. The color was really I thought it would look just so cute on Sophie. And she's like, it's a bit short. And I was like, really? No, wait, it's like to your knee. And she held it up and it was like mid-thigh. And I'm like, oh, that's a little different, I guess. I didn't think about that part.
I do remember there was one time I needed a skirt for something, or a dress or something to dress up. And I went through Tami's closet. And I was putting on all of her dresses, trying to find a dress that fit. And they were all, like, above the knee on me. Yeah. And I'm like, crap, like, nothing is working. Nothing is fitting. And she's like, really? They're, like, down to my calf.
Yeah.
For me. And so I thought that was pretty funny. But thankfully, I don't know. Maybe we've gotten a lot of different mutual clothes now. A lot of the stuff we can kind of swing back and forth. Well, if we need different colored cardigans, we'll pull out everybody's got cardigans in different colors. And if we're dressing for family pictures or whatever, we just throw, what do we have? What colors do we have? What do we need? And it's nice. So, all the small little perks to having a sister wife. So this is Crystal_Langridge from Instagram. How would a house with separate apartments feel like? Would it ever be considered?
You know, we lived in 2 different houses when we first got married, and that was a good thing, where we were all new to this lifestyle. I do think it helped us be able to figure things out in our own time instead of forcing us to have to do that. But where we're at now, I think that wouldn't be a good thing, having different houses.
Mm-hmm.
Having our own living space is important too, like our bedrooms we can go to, that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that will always be an important thing, having your space, that if you just want to be by yourself for a while, or if you need some time to be away by yourself, that you have that. And I think that will always be something we do, but I don't think we'll ever choose to have separate houses with different wives in different houses.
Mm-hmm.
I just, for us, we chose to have us be one family.
Mm-hmm.
And, Sadie calls Sophie Mama Sophie, and I Mama Tami, and, we're both moms. It's not like, you're going to visit your aunt or something like that, it's, we're all together. And if I'm working, Sophie will get Sadie lunch, or if she wants to have a shower, she'll help her with it, or if Ephraim wants to go outside for a while, I'll take him with us when we're going out to work on the garden or something. We do those different things together because we see each other as one family. And if we were in different houses, that wouldn't really work.
There would be a separation. And my original thought, and maybe it's because we were in 2 different houses, and the way that worked for us at the time was really beneficial, I think. It happened to just be the circumstances that we were dealt with, but going into plural marriage when you've never lived it before, and just not knowing... Tami needs to step out for a second. And just not knowing what we're doing, I do think that it was good the way that we just kind of eased into living together and being a more cohesive unit. At this point, if we were to add another wife, obviously we have to take her circumstances into play as well, but I wouldn't mind if she wanted, I don't know, like maybe for the first little while, if it was a need of hers, if we wanted to like rent a condo or something for her to live in, so that she can kind of have a honeymoon period with Colton, maybe that'd be okay. But because we already have a working plural marriage, we definitely would want her to be a part of our whole family as soon as possible, which is why we always make kind of plans around making sure that we save space for that third wife. If we are going to build a house, we want to make sure that we build it large enough that we can add a third wife, and make sure that she feels like a wife, so that, if we're building a house with master bedrooms, we want to make sure that we build 3 master bedrooms, so that when we do get a wife down the line, she's not going to be given less than, so that she feels like she's coming in equal to and as a same wife. But we definitely want to have all wives in the same house, because we have a cohesive family unit, and we want to keep that. Mm-hmm. And if she's separate, she'll feel separate, and our kids will feel separate, and her kids will feel separate. We want all of our family to be raised together as one. Mm-hmm. So, I think originally maybe we thought it would be okay to be in different houses, but now what we see, what we have, and what we've benefited from and what we've developed, we definitely want to keep that in place. All right, disappearing Danny from Instagram. I would like to hear how Tami overcame any jealousies or insecurities that she may have faced when welcoming you into the family, and how you two have bonded over those, and how you deal with them when they do arise. You're both so lovely and kind and loving and a pleasure to watch. So we've kind of gone through that, but if there's, it's a little bit different. So you can see if there's anything outside of what we've already answered.
Yeah, I feel like I really didn't have, Colton and I spent pretty much our whole marriage talking about plural marriage. So I have had a lot of time to come to terms with a lot of the stereotypical jealousies to, you know, just go through and make my peace with. Things like watching your husband be intimate with another person. And, you know, Colton and Sophie, from my perspective, and hopefully the same, is very respectful with that, you know. But it doesn't bother me that, you know, when he comes home, he gives us both a kiss. I would be concerned if he didn't kiss her, and vice versa. But there were things that I struggled with that I didn't think I would. Like I didn't think that I'd have a problem with being away from Colton every other night. And I know part of that was because when we first got married, we were in separate houses, so he was just completely gone. And that is better now, because then if I need something or anything, he's just in the same house, just a few rooms away. So that was something that I did struggle with. I was just like all alone. And honestly, I don't know how I would have handled that without having Sadie, because it was just like, we'd never had anything like that, being separated for any period of time for anything, and then all of a sudden it was that way. And our schedules were a little different too. We had 2 nights with Colton and then 2 nights without, and that was hard too. I didn't like that schedule.
We did do that for a while, and that schedule made me feel like I had to be 2 different people, because when Colton was gone, like, I didn't see him for, like, if he was doing, so we'd do 2 nights, 2 nights, 3 nights, and then the next week 2 nights, 2 nights, 3 nights, and it was 3 days that I didn't see him every single, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just, it kind of, when he's not with you, you just kind of have to, like, change your life. And then I had to go back to being a single woman, and then when he was with me, then I had to go back to being a wife. And so that was really hot, cold. It was really hard, and it made me feel like I was living 2 different lives.
And the same for me, that it was like, hey, it's the same as always, and then it was just like gone for 2 or 3 days, and it's just like, oh, now it's just me and Sadie, and this is so weird. So that was hard, dealing with that. I
feel like you had to distance your feelings too.
Yeah.
Like, I had to distance the care about Colton during those times so that I didn't feel sad during those times. I had to kind of, like, cut him off from my mind so that I wasn't sad that I didn't get to see him. So
yeah, and I think it was hard to I struggled a little bit with, honestly, I struggled more with being, like, allowing myself the same things. Like, it was just like this thing that was like, it's okay for Sophie to have anything she wants. Like, if she needs extra time with Colton, going on dates, it's good for her to go on dates. That's fine. But then I felt like this huge guilt for wanting the same thing. And which is so strange, because it was never a thing with Sophie. Like, she never made me, like, never said anything to make me feel that way. It was just like, I feel like it was this personal thing that I wanted to not make her feel that way, but I didn't know how to give myself the same thing. So it wasn't necessarily jealous. Like, I mean, I was a little jealous of that, but it was my own doing. Like, it wasn't because of something you had done. It was something that I was interpreting and doing. And that took a long time for me to be able to even bring that up to Sophie and, like, be able to talk to her about.
And some of my insecurities, and I kind of brushed upon this earlier, but I looked at Tami as, like, this perfect housewife. And here I was, like, 26 years old. I think we got married when I was 25. So 25 years old, and I was not a housewife. I had lived on my own my whole, you know, like, adult life, and in fact, I had just purchased a house on my own by myself. Like, So I was doing all of the things in my life independent of having a man in my life. And so then to like come into this wife role, I'm like, what does that look like? What am I supposed to do? And then I had a direct comparison because Tami was Colton's wife. And I saw all of the things that she was doing, and I'm like, I felt seriously inadequate and insecure that I was like, I wasn't a good wife. And I had like this breakdown, and I was just like, Colton, what are your expectations of me? Because I feel like I can't do that right now, because I had a full-time job and I had just started a midwifery apprenticeship like 3 months after I married you guys. And my life was crazy, and like every spare minute of my time I would go over to Tami's house so that we could have family time. And so thankfully he just was very kind and just loving, and he was just like, no, like what we're doing is good, and I'm happy with you, and I'm happy with, you know, what our life is. And he's like, I don't have that expectation of you. I don't have this expectation that you have to do everything that Tami's been doing. And thankfully, like in that insecurity and conversation, like Tami came up to the plate and helped out, and she was like, well, why don't we just start having some family dinners over here at my house? You can come over when you pick up Colton, we can just have dinner together, and then you guys can go home. And that really helped out, because then I felt like I wasn't, like, we always just grabbed food, and it was usually like 10 o'clock at night by the time we were getting back over to my house. And so we'd have to go to whatever place was open, or TV dinners, you know, like it was just really touch and go for meals. And Tami, that was one of her strong suits, and she stepped up in that area and was able to kind of feel that spot in my life that I was feeling insecure about. So fun stuff looking back on old days. I think we've answered all of those. Let's see. I feel like we've kind of answered some of these. I don't want to go over stuff we've already answered.
Maybe we should just go be done with all of this, but for now, what we should do is do that. We should be done. And then we will just go over some more, and then
let's
make
do that
our
one
list.
last question.
Which one?
The homeschooling one. A lot of people, and then we'll close up with that.
Okay, we can do that.
All right. A lot of people have asked us about homeschooling, and so we thought we'd give you kind of a background of, just a brief background of our upbringing and where we're at and why. With me, I went to public school for most of my life, but then I ended up doing a few years of homeschooling. And so I had been, I guess, exposed to homeschooling. And Tami, go ahead.
I had never been exposed to homeschooling. I'd only ever done public school. I did do a large portion of my school was in honors classes, which compared a little differently to just my regular classes. But so I feel like that gave me a little bit of a different perspective with schooling. And then with Sadie, I really have thought hard about what I want for her school, because I really don't care for the core curriculum in Utah. There's a lot of things that I dislike about it. So I really struggled with if we should do homeschool or have her do public school. Then we don't really have a lot of good choices for charter schools and things in the area. And so I really wondered what to do. And then when COVID happened, she was just the age to start kindergarten. So we decided that we were going to really quarantine and not put her in school, and then just go from there. So we did that for kindergarten, and then like halfway through, Sophie found the good and the beautiful curriculum. The curriculum, yeah. And we've done that, and she's really liked it. She's really done well with it. And so our homeschooling is kind of like everything else, we share it. So Sophie does a lot of the curriculum things, and I do like worksheets and projects and things like that with her. And so we just kind of do whatever we have time for. If Ephraim is, sometimes teething or just extra fussy and struggling, and so I'll take her and do things. Or if I'm just really busy with work, Sophie will take her and do a little extra with her. And so that's worked really well for us. We're planning on just doing at least through first grade, since we have the curriculum for it. That'll be to the end of next year, and then we'll see where things are at with everything. I just feel like there's so much unknown right now that feels better to me to know that I've got control over, her education and being home and schedules and all those things, instead of just trying to figure something else out where this is working.
Right.
And Ephraim's starting to come up into being older to do that as well. And so it's nice to have a little bit of experience with it and the material to do that with him and work on that. So it may change in the future, but right now we're really liking the homeschooling and how that's working for us.
Right. And I had experience homeschooling my little brother, who is now 16. It's kind of crazy. But, and so for me, it was just always this idea that I liked the idea of homeschooling my kids. And so when COVID happened, I kind of offered, I'm like, well, why don't we just do homeschool? I've heard of this really great curriculum. I had heard it from several different sources, especially because a lot of people, when COVID happened, they didn't want to put their kids in school where there were mandatory masks, and, we didn't want Sadie to have to deal with that too. So we're like, yeah, let's, and we had a little baby, we had a newborn baby brother, and so we thought it was best to just have her stay home. And once things started opening up again, we put her in extracurriculars, like she did soccer for a season, and that was really fun. And then swimming class and just different things. So we still give her the opportunity to get out and socialize, given, where everything is at with COVID.
As much as possible.
Yep. So, she doesn't not get exposed to like family members and other cousins and things like that. So we make sure that she's kind of well-rounded in that way.
Yeah.
But we've really enjoyed the homeschooling curriculum, and it's kind of funny when Tami and I joke, having two moms, sometimes Sadie does not want to do something with one or the other of us, and so then the other mom will step up and like be more like, nope, we've got to do this. So it's kind of funny because I'm kind of strict with my homeschooling. Like, I'm like, nope, we've got to finish this. Take a breath, stretch out. Do you need a drink of water? We're going to finish this. Sorry, but we're going to finish it. And maybe that's my OCD. But then when Tami does homeschooling with Sadie, she's like, I don't know why, but I'm like this.
I'm like so nice. I'm like, we'll do whatever. We'll make it fun. We'll play games while we do it. And she's like, no, I want to do it with Mom and Sophie. Like, okay, it's fine, I guess.
And it's funny because vice versa, Ephraim's getting to the age where he kind of tests what he can and can't do. And I know that some of it he doesn't quite understand still, but there's some things that he does. And if he's like not listening to me or not doing what I'm asking, like Tami will step in and be like this stern mom.
All I have to do is be like, Ephraim, if you keep doing that, I'm going to come grab you. And he'll just sit down and try and hold himself. He knows he's not supposed to be doing it, but he knows that I'll do it. I'll take him away and we'll go another place for a while.
So we like to joke that as sisterwives and being moms to our kids that we get to step in and be the stern one, and it works really well.
Yeah.
They listen at that point.
Yes.
And there's times that Sadie is back talking Tami, and I'll just step in and say, hey, you need to listen to Mom. Like, what you're doing isn't okay. And then she, like, buttons up and does what she needs to. So it's kind of nice, especially when Colton is gone at work and we kind of have two parental figures. It works well. So that is a good note to stop this Q&A on. We will try and do more. We appreciate all of the questions. You know, we've chosen to be so open just because we want to share our lifestyle and help you guys understand it better. So if you have more questions, reach out to us. We'll try and keep an ongoing list of questions to make sure we are answering all of your guys' questions. And we will try and dive into some other topics, and we'll just talk candidly and have fun with this. So thank you guys for joining. We hope you enjoyed. Click subscribe below so that we can provide you more and more content, and once we put the video out, you'll be able to get the notification. And we will see you guys later.
Bye.
Thanks.